This is Jerry. This is Control.
Good morning, Mega Podlings. Oh, hey, John Hickey is already in the chat room. How are you, John? Give me 1 minute here, and I will get the chat room up on this laptop where I could see it a little bit better. I was doing my homework before I went live. What the heck? Give me 1 moment. I apologize. I am there we go. There we go. Now I just have to turn the volume down. There we go. All right, come on. All right. Good morning, Mega Podlings. Crazy Joe coming to you on a Friday afternoon, which is a little unusual. To those of you who don't know, hi, Joe. Hi, Geriatric Geek. To those of you who don't know, I was surprisingly, very unexpectedly laid off yesterday. That's why I'm coming to you in the middle of the afternoon today. Not the end of the world. There's worse things. Look at poor Luke Perry. He's got things a lot worse than I do, doesn't he? And yesterday on my way to work, unaware that it was going to be my last day at work, I was in a huge traffic pileup, and it was a big accident. People lost their lives. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't have it too bad. So things looked bleak yesterday, but like, you know, hey, there's worse things could happen. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's rough, but I've several people emailed me, said, hey, check this out, check that out. So I've already got some leads. My resume this morning, I updated my resume, already started sending it out to people. So we'll see. But in the meantime, that does, I guess, give us a little more time to talk that we wouldn't normally have. So Jamel is here. Hello. I wonder how many people are going to tune in on a Friday afternoon. I don't know. Everyone else is probably busy themselves. So funny, there's a slight delay because I'm seeing the chats pop up here before they pop up here. So if I delay in responding to you, I apologize, but it's easier for me to respond here because the print's so small over there. Boredom Strikes is here. Jesse's here. Hello. Hey, guys. Yeah, so Jamel says, how are you? Well, I've been better. I'd be better if I was at work today. But what are you going to do? Oh, thank you, Joe. So, there's been a lot going on. And I've got some videos. I've been trying out some new things with shooting videos. And it's slowing me down a little more because there's a little more editing. I've been trying to make them look a little more, I don't know, slick or something. So I don't know. I got a few works in progress that you'll be seeing soon. But so much has happened in the news lately, I thought, hey, I got a little bit of time. Let's do a live stream in the time that I have before I have to pick kids up from school. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, actually, was X-Men. We got a new trailer yesterday for Dark Phoenix. I don't know how many of you saw it. But I'm very fascinated by the X-Men movies. I find them very, very interesting because there's a bizarre thing with the X-Men movies where people like the bulk of them. The majority of the X-Men movies, people like them. But yet every time a new X-Men movie comes out, people are like, oh, another Fox X-Men, it's going to suck, it's going to suck. And I'm like, why do you say that when the majority of the films they've made are very well liked? So I got my discs here. Let's take a look. Let's go through. This is 11 films in the Fox X-Men saga. Now, I'm going to separate these movies. These are 11 movies. And generally speaking, as I said, people like the bulk of these movies. And yet, for some reason, Fox X-Men movies have a bad reputation, and I don't understand why. Joey Baseball is with us. Welcome, Joey Baseball. So here we go. 11 films. These are 11 films. These are the 3 out of all these movies, these are the three people hate, okay? We've got X-Men Apocalypse. People really hate X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men 3, The Last Stand. People really hate that one. And the one that I personally think is just garbage, the original Wolverine movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine from 2009. These are the three, like, kind of despised X-Men movies by the masses. But Fox has also made Logan, The Wolverine, aka Wolverine 2, Days of Future Past, X-Men 2, the original X-Men movie, X-Men First Class, and the 2 Deadpool movies. These movies are all very popular to varying degrees. Like, I think the original X-Men is probably the least favorite of this bunch, but these movies are generally well liked. So when you've got 8 out of 11 movies that are popular, 8 out of 11 of these are popular, only 3 of them are by the masses disliked, and I actually disagree with some of those, which I'll get to in a second. I don't understand why every time an X-Men movie comes out, people are like, oh, X-Men, Fox X-Men sucks, Fox X-Men's garbage. This is Fox X-Men, and these are, I would say a few of these are tremendous, like Days of Future Past and Logan, I think are among the best comic book movies ever made. Now let's take the 3 that everyone dislikes. And I saw Joey Baseball said Joey Baseball said X-Men 3 is his favorite. So of the ones people dislike, people still do like them. Now X-Men 3 I do think has a lot of problems, but I think the Dark Phoenix story that they try to tell here, I don't think works. I don't think that works at all. But there's also the story of the cure for the mutant gene. I think that part of the film works very well. So while the movie, I don't think as a whole works well, I think there's aspects of it that are great. I don't think this movie is by any means a disaster, as some people make it out to be. And this one, X-Men Apocalypse, I genuinely like this one. I don't understand why people don't like this one. I think this one's really good. And the first Wolverine movie, I do think is garbage. But my point here is 11 movies, 3 of them are disliked. 8 out of 11 is a really good track record. That's good for any franchise. So why is there this attitude that the Fox X-Men movies are pure garbage? I will never understand that. Fandom Spotlight, my good friend Kyle just joined us. Welcome, Kyle. And I'm sorry, let me catch up on the chat room here just a little bit. Oh, my buddy Greg's here. Hey, Greg, welcome. So there you go. Well, Kyle says Iron Man 2 out of 3 stunk. I disagree with you there. I love all the Iron Man movies. I actually think Iron Man 1 is the worst of the 3 Iron Man movies, which isn't to say that I dislike Iron Man 1. I like it a lot. I just, I like the other 2 better. In part because the origin story was out of the way. They just, full steam ahead. But yeah, so I've been thinking about this for quite a while. I don't understand why there's this attitude that the X-Men movies by Fox are some kind of garbage. I really don't believe that they are. And I think that's kind of a false narrative people put out there. In fact, I'll tell you something. When First Class was about to hit theaters, I remember there was an attitude online of, oh, Fox X-Men stinks. Fox X-Men stinks. Then this opened, and people were like, hey, that was really good. And then this movie was well liked. So then Days of Future Past was about to come out, and I would see online, the Fox X-Men are garbage. And I would think to myself, wait a minute. The last one that came out, the very last one that came out was well received. So why do we still have this attitude of Fox X-Men is garbage? Then we got this, and I think, arguably speaking, everyone's going to have a different opinion, but I think if we took a poll, I think most of the masses agree that these are the 2 best ones they ever made. Like, I'm just talking popularity of numbers here. Obviously, everyone's going to have their own opinion on things. Let me take a look at what you guys are saying here. Boredom Strike says, I think there's negativity because people would rather have the X-Men be rebooted for the MCU. I think you're right, but I don't think that'll work. I'll tell you why in just a second. Let me catch up. I agree with Greg. I think Days of Future Past was the best one too. I'd say it's as good as any of the Avengers movies. That one. Kyle says different strokes for different folks. Absolutely, yeah, agree. Agree. I didn't hate Suicide Squad. Neither did I. Suicide Squad's got problems, but I think it's a fun movie. I think it's a lot of fun. Jesse says it's because they've been brainwashed. Think if it's not the MCU, then it's garbage. I think there's a little bit of truth in there. Welcome to the chat room, Austin. Welcome. Boredom Strikes thinks X-Men 2 is overrated. Austin Dolan says Iron Man 2 is the worst. Who was the villain again? See, again, I got to disagree on X-Men on Iron Man 2. I really like Iron Man 2 a lot. In fact, the villain was Justin Hammer, played by one of my favorite actors, Sam Rockwell. I really like Sam Rockwell a lot. He's one of my favorites. So, yeah, I really actually like the villain in that one quite a bit. And Austin Dolan also says he thinks Logan is the best. I can't really argue with that. I think my favorite Days of Future Past, but man, Logan is actually tremendous. So I said I was going to get to why I don't think rebooting the X-Men for the MCU will work. The reason is, in the X-Men, okay, let's go back to the early X-Men movies. In the X-Men universe, and this is both in the comics and in the movies, mutants have been around forever, or they've been around for a long time. Like, we see Magneto at a concentration camp, and he's got his mutant abilities. And in the 60s, Charles Xavier and Magneto together were founding this school for mutants. And at that time, they were adults. They were the experts. They knew how to use their mutant abilities, and now they were going to train a younger generation. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as it stands now, has no history of mutants in it. We've had no mutants in the Marvel Cinematic Universe up till now. So if the mutant phenomenon just begins now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how are you going to account for an adult like Charles Xavier or Magneto already being proficient? It just doesn't quite work. It's not clean. And I understand the reason is because they obviously did not have the rights to those characters in 2008 when they started building this universe. But it does, I think, present a problem. Now, someone said, well, they could have been always there and just never discussed like an open secret. That could work, but I think it's a little tricky. I don't know. Kevin Feige, I trust Kevin Feige. He's a smart guy. He's made a lot of good movies. So I have a feeling he'll be able to figure it all out. But what I would personally do if they asked me is I would just bring this cast into the Marvel Cinematic Universe using one of the like Infinity Stones or something. I would have like the universes get merged together, and any continuity discrepancies can be just easily wiped away as being paradoxes caused by the the merging of the universes. That's, I think, the cleanest way to handle it, because that's how you can account for these mutants suddenly showing up in a world where we've never heard the word mutants bandied about ever before. Let's see, what are people saying? Yeah. Fandom Spotlight's saying something very similar to what I just said. It would be tough to bring them in, need a crisis on Marvel Earths. Exactly. That is what I'm kind of thinking. Greg says the continuity is so screwed up, it would probably be beneficial for them to restart the MCU. I honestly did not ever want to see Disney get the rights back to X-Men. I didn't want to see that happen. I wanted to see Disney get the rights back to Fantastic Four. But I always thought X-Men was better off being its own separate thing, because when X-Men was the only property Fox had, they could do spin-offs like Deadpool and Wolverine. Disney only has 3 slots open for superhero movies a year. That's it. They got 3. So it doesn't give them as much wiggle room to be doing spin-offs or individual films. Like, X-Men really could be its own universe. Noladige is here. Hello, Noladige. Welcome. Hello, Sav. Good to see you. I'm trying to catch up. X-Men films should be their own world. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah. Jesse says, "Am I the only one who's getting superhero fatigue?" Not I gotta say. They're still my favorite movies. Though Joey Baseball said he was getting superhero fatigue as well. Evan, welcome to the chat room. Good to see you, Evan. So, Disney made a great Fantastic Four film. It's called You're Not Wrong. You are not wrong. Though I do really look forward to seeing what the MCU will do with the Fantastic Four. I'll be honest with you. I said this in a Facebook post. I don't know who read it. I don't know who follows me on Facebook. But I think after Avengers Endgame, up till now, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been the end-all, be-all of superhero movies. And deservedly so. They've done an amazing job. But I think all the momentum after Avengers Endgame is actually with the DC Cinematic Universe. Because Marvel has not announced anything past... We know Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Black Panther are getting sequels. But that's really all we know. Whereas DC, we know we're getting a Batman movie for Matt Reeves, who I love Matt Reeves. I think he's a terrific director. I'm excited about that. We know we got James Gunn doing a Suicide Squad sequel. I'm a big James Gunn fan, so I'm excited about that. We know we're getting Wonder Woman and Aquaman sequels. I'm excited for both of those. And I loved Bumblebee. I thought Bumblebee was one of the best movies I saw all year. And the screenwriter who wrote Bumblebee wrote the Birds of Prey movie. So when I found that out, the Birds of Prey movie immediately jumped to one of the movies I'm most excited about. I hadn't been that excited about Birds of Prey until I found that out. So the screenwriter of Bumblebee writing Birds of Prey put Birds of Prey on the map for me. So until Marvel announces more movies past Endgame, I'm actually more excited for what DC's got coming up. I think DC unfairly is maligned because they made some mistakes early on. But if you look what they've done recently, I don't think they've made a single misstep since Walter Hamada took over running the DC Cinematic Universe. Let me go back to the chat room here. What are you guys saying? Boredom Strike says there is no DC Cinematic Universe. They're focused on standalone films. True. But part of what has been said has been taken out of context. They have said that they are focusing on standalone movies for now, but it is still a cinematic universe. These standalone movies, with the sole exception of the Joker, are still set in the DC CU or DC EU, which was never actually the name. They are still set in the shared universe, but they're focusing on standalone stories. This basically is the Marvel playbook. This is what Marvel did, because Iron Man was a standalone story. The Incredible Hulk was a standalone story. Thor was a standalone story. They didn't come together till Avengers. And the head of Warner Brothers recently said for now they're focusing on standalone films and they're going to connect them again later at a future date. So it is still a shared cinematic universe. It's just now they're focusing on the individual stories and they're going to bring them back together sometime later once they've laid the groundwork, which is a smart approach, I think. It's what they needed to do and what they've, I think, successfully done, because the last couple movies have been really good. Aquaman was great. I'm really excited about Shazam. Phantom Spotlight says Bumblebee rocked. Couldn't agree more. My God, what a great movie. Tragedy that movie didn't make more at the box office. Greg pointed out there's also a Black Widow. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is somewhere on the docket, somewhere in development hell because they fired the director, which they shouldn't have done. But hey, now we're getting a Suicide Squad from them, so I'm happy about that. Martinez Joe says, I'm hoping Alita gets a sequel now. I still have to see Alita. I was busy brushing up my resume and stuff today because I was fired. But I don't know. In the coming days, maybe I'll get out to see that. Actually, you can't see just below the frame, but I have. Did I jump there? It looks like I got a phone call. I'm on my phone. It looks like I got a phone call, and I may have jumped. I apologize. I got all the toys right under the camera here that used to be on my desk at work. Like all this stuff. These are my desk toys from work, and they've all ended up just strewn about the bar now because because they're homeless. All right, let's get back to the chat room. Kyle is also saying that Alita was a good movie. I've got to get there to see it. Nola Deej says, love the DC movies, love the Marvel movies. I agree. I just love good movies. I never understood the DC versus Marvel thing because oftentimes it's the same creators. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, now he's doing Suicide Squad. James Gunn makes good movies. He made good movies for Marvel. I'm assuming he's going to make a good movie for DC. Mark Waid was always one of my favorite comic book writers. He wrote The Flash for DC for 8 years. One of the best runs on The Flash ever. He leaves The Flash. He went and did Fantastic Four for Marvel. Did a great run on Fantastic Four because he's a great writer. Great writers write great stories no matter who the publisher is. So I never got the competition. And the competition's just with the fans. The creators don't care. They're friends with each other. You know, they all like each other. Kevin Feige said he loved Aquaman. So there you go. Boredom Strike says there's no Cavill, no Affleck, no Will Smith. Well, Cavill is probably coming back. Cavill doesn't have a contract right now, but there's no Superman project in development. But we've heard from multiple sources that he's interested in coming back. So I'm pretty certain that we will be seeing Cavill again when it's time to do Superman again. I'm also excited for Shazam. I agree with Kyle. Zachary Levi was the perfect casting. They couldn't have done better. He's a nice guy, too. You ever meet him at a convention? He was... Kyle, you were at Dragon Con last year. Did you get to meet Zach Levi? I had him on the podcast once. Just all around good guy. Boredom Strike says no Army Hammer. He's too old. I don't know. It depends what they're going. I hear it's going to be a prequel. I just hope they get Jeremy Irons back as Alfred for some sense of continuity, like the 90s movies. It's like, yeah, we lost Batman, but we still had Michael Gough as Alfred and Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. It provided some sense of continuity. Austin Dolan says Bumblebee would have made more if Michael Bay hadn't made so many crappy Transformers movies. Agreed, but like I always say, that's why it's not fair to hold one filmmaker responsible for what another filmmaker did. Like, I still don't understand how people boycotted Solo because of The Last Jedi. They were two different films made by two different sets of filmmakers. Solo was never going to be The Last Jedi because it was written and directed by different people. And it's the same with Bumblebee. It was never going to be a Michael Bay movie because it wasn't written or directed by Michael Bay. Let's see. I'm losing my place here. Greg says lots of Star Trek toys. That is right. Geriatric Geek, what kind of work are you looking for? Well, most of my experience is in customer service. That's where my my history lies. So that's where I've also done in the past security. I have a lot of security work on my resume too. We'll see. I got a few irons in the fire already. We'll see what pans out. Shocking day yesterday. I did not begin my day thinking that that was going to happen. It was kind of sobering. All right, I'm way behind on the chats here. Yeah, Boredom Strike says Paramount now stated that Bumblebee is the beginning and there will be a sequel. Yes, they wrote off the Michael Bay movies. I'm kind of happy about that. Marty McFly's here. Do you think the Elton John movie looks any good? I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched the trailer. I have not watched the trailer. I'll have to check that out. One of the best Wade stories, The Return of Barry Allen. Absolutely. That was a good one. Man, he did a really good one called Chain Lightning, too. That was a really good story. Aquaman should have started Vincent Chase. Jesse, I gotta be honest with you. I didn't watch Entourage. I know that's an Entourage joke, but I never actually watched the show. Nola Deej wants Michael Keaton in a Batman Beyond movie. I'm right there with you. That would be amazing. The only thing I would want more than a Michael Keaton. Michael Bay. No, I don't want a Michael Bay Batman movie. Don't want that. The only thing I would want more than a a Michael Keaton Batman Beyond would have been if we could have, about 10 years ago, got a Batman Beyond with Adam West. I would have liked that a little more, but I'm totally on board with the Michael Keaton Batman Beyond. Boredom Strike says, from what Matt Reeves said, his Batman is not connected to the previous DCEU. That is not what I've read. I've actually read quotes from Matt Reeves where he says it is. So I'll have to look that up, but I've actually read the exact opposite. I've read him saying that his movie is still in the existing DC cinematic universe. Noladish says, tried watching Solo for the first time last night. I couldn't get past the first 15 minutes. Wow, I really liked it. I saw it 4 times in the theater, I think. Max Volumes YouTube channel. Welcome, Max. Just saw Dave's video, Joe. Sorry to hear. Did Dave mention something in his video? I haven't watched his video yet. His video actually was posted while I was brushing up my resume, so I'll be watching that soon. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you for... He's a good guy, man. He's a really good guy. I'll tell you, one of the best things about doing YouTube or podcasting or anything is the community, sense of community. One of the reasons I stopped doing YouTube for a little while, I quit for several months, and one of the reasons was I wasn't getting the same sense of community that I really love in podcasting. And it was when I met a bunch of other guys that I like. Cinema Sickness has been there for me from the start, and I appreciate that. He's been there from the start. But it wasn't, the sense of community is just increased, and it makes doing this a lot more fun. IMAX is in the room. Welcome, IMAX. I mentioned I'm going to be meeting Dolph Lundgren soon at a convention. It's going to be at a Monster Mania convention, and I got to be honest with you, odds are I'm not going. I just can't justify the cost when I don't have a job. So my layoff really kind of influenced that. It's disappointing. I would love to meet him. I have a Masters of the Universe Drew Struzan poster that I would love to get signed. It's already been signed by Robert Duncan McNeil from Star Trek because he was in that movie. But I can't justify the cost at this point, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be at the Monster Mania convention next week. Next week in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He'll be there. Movie Collector says, do I like Muppets from Space? Yeah, it's a good movie. I do like Muppets from Space. My least favorite Muppet movie is Muppet Treasure Island. I never could really get into that one. It's good. It's got its moments. Sam Eagle's hilarious, testing out the lifeboat, and the rats thinking they're on a cruise. There were some great things there, but overall, it's my least favorite. Marty says, if they added Jon Stewart to the DC universe, they should get Michael B. Jordan to play him. Michael B. Jordan is like the busiest guy in Hollywood these days, but yeah, he'd be good. Joshua Chansey says, that's Cinema Sickness's video. I will definitely check it out. Kyle says, thought Solo was decent, but I have issues with it. Love Lando. Reference to Shrew. I think I missed that reference. I'm not sure who Shrew is. Who's Shrew? I don't know that one. But I loved Lando in the movie. I thought he was great. Jesse says, what are my thoughts on Meteor Man or Blank Man? Well, I've seen Blank Man. I haven't seen Meteor Man. Blank Man's entertaining. I haven't watched it since the 90s. Like I didn't like it that much, but I definitely remember enjoying it at the time. Noladish says, problem with the Solo movie more than anything is it's too hard to see that guy as Han. Now, you see, I actually thought he was a really good Han because he didn't... I didn't want to see anyone imitate Harrison Ford. I don't think that would have worked. But I thought he did a pretty good job as Han without doing like a Harrison Ford impression. I actually thought he was a better Han than Chris Pine is at Captain Kirk. And I like Chris Pine as Captain Kirk. I just think I thought Aaron Reich kind of did a better job. Phantom Spotlight says, Monster Mania never gives out press passes. The owners are rude. I don't go there anymore. Yeah, I know. They've never given a press pass. Marty McFly says, Community mean like your sweatshirt? Yes. Well, this is from the, well, you got it. This is from the TV show Community. My one regret with this shirt is that it does not say E pluribus anus on it, which was the on the flag, the Greendale flag. The color and image was too brown in Solo. As a Star Wars Superman who knows all the backstory, it was dull to me. Yeah, I've heard other people say that. I'm sorry, I've fallen way behind. I didn't expect this many people in a chat room on a Friday afternoon, I gotta be honest. Good to see you all here. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Bill Cosby's in Meteor Man, Joey Baseball says. I do remember that from the trailers. Greg says Pine is the worst. Well, Greg, come on. You just hate everything about the JJ movies. Even if you don't like the stories, come on. You don't think the cast was good? I especially thought Carl Urban was great as Dr. McCoy. I really liked him in those movies. Marty McFly says, did you hear that an unearthed Dr. Seuss book is getting released? I did not. But I'll probably buy it. Because my kids love Dr. Seuss, and so do I. Martinez Joe says, I agree. He was great Solo. Love the film as well. Boredom Strike says, Matt Reeves said the same thing about Rise of the Planet of the Apes being a prequel to the original franchise, but completely backpedaled later. The Planet of the Apes movies has some pretty... you got to be a little creative with the continuity in those, though. I heard Reeves wants a young Batman to disassociate it from the Snyder Cut. Yeah, but isn't it? I think he's trying to do a prequel, from what I understood. So I don't know. You know what's interesting? Affleck still has one movie on his contract. So even though he's out, if they wanted him to do something, they could force him. They could, like, if they wanted to do, I don't know, if they wanted him to make like a cameo in Birds of Prey or something, they could. I don't think they will. But they theoretically could. IMAX says, agree with you on Solo. I was happy with it. Nice to get Ron Howard back for a Lucas movie. Yes, he was supposed to direct episode 1, or George Lucas asked him to direct episode 1, and Ron Howard said, no, you should direct. So if you don't like the prequel, the direction in the prequels, you can blame Ron Howard, because he was the one who talked George Lucas into directing those. Sav says, I rock. Thank you, Sav. You rock. You rock, Sav. I don't know what I do, but... Boredom Strike says Solo was decent, wasn't particularly necessary. I agree. Technically, though, is any movie necessary? Food, water, oxygen, those are necessary. Movies, we just want them. We want them. Marty McFly says, how would I rank the Austin Powers movies? Well, I think the second one's the best. Spy Who Shagged Me, I think that one's the best. The first one I will probably put second best. And I think the third one was probably the worst of the three. If for no other reason, I mean, it had good moments. Like Goldmember was hilarious. I thought, the Goldmember character, the character Goldmember, he was funny. But it recycled way too many jokes from the first two. The second one kind of did the same thing. The second one recycled a lot of jokes from the first one as well, but it added enough, like the whole shadows, the silhouettes, the shadows, and the rocket ship in the sky, and everyone cutting away, saying something else. That was pretty funny. But then the third one just took those jokes and did them again. So yeah, I'd say second, first, and then third is my least favorite. Boredom Strike says, Reeves' Batman will be modern day from what they're saying. If it was a prequel, it would have to be set in the 90s. Well, not necessarily. You kind of got to use your imagination with these things. Because don't forget, Superman Returns was set 5 years after Superman 2. But Superman 2 was shot in 1980. I think you have to, in your head, just have an imaginary timeline and kind of move these things around. We'll see, though. But they can always play fast and loose with the continuity. We don't really know what we're getting until we really still don't know much about Reeves' Batman. They haven't even cast the guy yet, so anything is possible at this point. I look forward to seeing where... I trust him, though. If it is a complete reboot that's not set in the DC Cinematic Universe, I think that would be a crucial mistake. I don't think they would make a mistake that big. because they are just fixing the cinematic universe. Like it got off on a rocky start, and now with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and it looks like Shazam's going to be great. They finally got it where it's coming together, and to make a major misstep like that, I just can't see them doing it. But I guess we'll find out when we get. It's certainly possible, but we'll find out soon enough, I guess, when we hear more about the casting and things like that. They forced Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd to be in Ghostbusters 2016 and promote it, so anything's possible. Yes, that's true. This is true. One of the reasons I hate the 2016 movie. I know people, if you dare say you don't like that movie, people point the finger and go, misogyny. Nothing can be further from the truth, obviously. But I got 2 daughters. Why would I be a misogynist when I have 2 daughters? It doesn't make sense. I want all the best for them, and I want them to have all the great female role models. But there was just a lot of shenanigans going behind the scenes in that 2016 movie that I can't get behind. So, it's just the truth. So, can we all agree that Son of the Mask wasn't necessary? Son of the Mask should be buried in a ditch somewhere. I think we can all agree. Greg says Urban is the closest to the original, but he's still 150 miles from Kelly. The rest are awful. I can't agree with you there, man. I thought I'm blanking on his name. Simon Pegg. I thought he was a great Scotty. I liked Chris Pine. I liked Zachary Quinto a lot. Pine is the worst offender. He makes a mockery of Shatner's performance. I can't agree with you there. I mean, I get you don't like the movie, and that's cool. Everyone's opinion is going to differ, but I thought the cast was at least pretty good. Kyle is taking off. Good to see you, Kyle. Everyone, check out the Fandom Spotlight channel if you get a chance. Kyle does a good channel. He's been doing it for years. Great pro. If you go to any big con, you're more than likely to see him because he attends seemingly every convention and he gets great interviews, and it's got a good channel. So check out Fandom Spotlight. Marty McFly says DC should make a buddy cop movie with Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara. That could be fun. Maybe that's what Gotham should have been. I wasn't a fan of the Gotham TV show. I know people liked it, but it wasn't my thing. Max Flame says Matt Reeves should cast Keanu Reeves and call it Bat Dude. Well, hey, speaking of Keanu Reeves, Bill and Ted 3 is actually supposed to start shooting this month, from what I heard. So I look forward to hearing more from that production. I'm excited for that. So we'll see. Greg says Ghostbusters 2016 was a bad movie, period, end of story. I agree. I definitely agree there. Jesse says, I think that's a reply to something Joey said. Joey said, they weren't forced, you can't force anybody to do anything. Apparently it was some kind of contractual thing. It was in the Sony leaks. It was in the leaked Sony emails. So there is some validity to that because the emails actually came out. But yeah, they did threaten some kind of lawsuit there. Boredom Strike says, I never bothered with Abrams Star Trek movies. Love the original cast only. Never bothered with anything after that, though I did see a few of the Next Generation movies. The only Star Trek that I've ever really had a ton of issues with is Voyager. I got a lot of issues with Voyager, but I've warmed up to Voyager over the years. There was a time years ago when I just couldn't stand Voyager, and I actually watch it. I actually own them all on DVD now, so I've warmed up, but I still do think it's the weakest of all of them. Greg says, when am I coming back to Walt Disney World? That's a good question. Having lost my job yesterday, we were planning a Disney trip for 2020, but I don't think it's going to happen now. I really, really don't think it's going to happen. So unless if a huge windfall of cash comes my way, I don't know. Probably not till 2021 or 2022, because 2021 and 2022, our finances are going to be a whole different story. We got a lot of loans that are going to be paid off at that time, and suddenly, but then my employment's a question mark. Ugh, ugly, man. It's ugly. Joey Baseball says we need more culture and less reboots. I agree. I don't care for reboots. It's one of the reasons I have a love-hate relationship with Batman Begins. Batman Begins is certainly a terrific movie, but I do kind of blame it for starting the reboot culture. It was the first big high-profile reboot, and then Casino Royale followed hot on its heels, and I just feel like the floodgates were open because Hollywood imitates. When something works, they imitate it. And like when Phantom Menace came out, everybody had to do prequels. Prequels were the hot ticket then, and everyone's like, "Ah, prequel, prequel, prequel." And then Batman Begins kind of made it reboots, and then now it's everyone's doing superheroes. It's just copy, copy, copy. So I Batman Begins, love hate relationship, great movie, but I don't like what it brought in. Sav says Ghostbusters 2016 should go the same way as the E.T. game in the 80s. Ghostbusters, man. Ugh. Max Volume says Bill and Ted 3. Not expecting much, but curious to see what they do. I'm hoping, man. It's got the same writers, so we'll see. Marty McFly says, in all honesty, Star Trek V is worse than the Abrams movies. I like Star Trek V a lot. A lot. Not even a little. I like that movie a lot. I got my Star Trek V marshmallow dispenser right here. You put the marshmallows in there, and this thing dispenses them. This thing was a giveaway by Kraft in 1989. But yeah, I kind of love Star Trek V. The special effects are horrible. But you know what? The special effects weren't that great on the original series. It's actually, of all the movies, the one that reminds me the most of the original series. Like, I could see Star Trek V being something that came on in the third season of the original Star Trek. Sav says, hope you find a job. Thank you, Sav. I appreciate it. I'm hoping. Greg is out. Bye, Greg. He's doing a live stream tonight at 7:30. Greg, I will try to catch it. However, the kids will still be awake. I'm usually, between 3 and like 8:30 is usually the time when I'm least available because the kids require all my attention between that time. So it seems. Boredom Strikes says, must have missed the beginning. What the hell happened with work? Boredom Strikes, I got laid off yesterday. I went into work, business as usual in the morning. About 11 a.m., they tapped me and a couple other guys on the shoulder, took us into a conference room, and told us our positions had been eliminated. So, like I was saying earlier, these are all these items that I have just below the camera line. These are these were all over my desk at work, and now they're just kind of strewn about here. Hey, there's Fred Rogers. Won't you be my neighbor? My favorite Star Trek alien of all time, the Magatu. Here he comes. Ah, the Magatu coming at you. That's why I should do action figure theater. That's the live streams like, Magatu. Where's Captain Kirk? I will destroy the Magatu. This will be my channel from now on. Action figure theater. Is there a market for that? Do people want to see that? I'm going crazy. Batman, Jesse says Batman and Batman Returns are his favorite Batman movies. They are my favorite Batman. No. You know what my favorite Batman movie is? It's the animated movie, Mask of the Phantasm. That's my favorite. But yeah, live action, totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Morning McFly says 2012 was when superheroes started to be seen as moneymakers. That was when Avengers and Dark Knight Rises came out. Can't disagree there. Can't disagree. IMAX says favorite line from Star Trek V was when Bones said, I liked him better before he died. That was good. That was good. What does God need with a starship is a classic. Please, Captain. Not in front of the Klingons. It's another good one. Marty, I would say 2008 when Dark Knight and Iron Man came out. You know what? It really just... it started in 1978 with Superman the movie. Superman the movie, that came out, and then we got like Swamp Thing in the mid 80s and Superman sequels and Supergirl. Then 1989 was Batman. And then it kind of accelerated from there because after Batman, we started getting Darkman and The Shadow and Dick Tracy and some of the early Marvel movies that weren't very good. Those were mainly TV movies, like the Nick Fury movie. And then 2000 X-Men came out, and then it accelerated again. So I feel like it's been a steady stream since 1978, but there's certain touchstone movies that caused it to accelerate further. And I think Batman was one of those accelerators. X-Men was one of them. And I think probably Avengers was another. But it just seems like it was just like, we're getting a lot, we're getting more, we're getting even more. And then suddenly they became the biggest money makers of all time. So that's how I see it. Movie Hunter says, hey, Cracky Joe. That's me, Cracky Joe. Lil D's Blu-ray collection says, hello, sub to your channel. Much love sent from Cinema Sickness. Thank you, man. I appreciate it very much. It's been a tough couple days. Well, guys, it is coming up on 2 o'clock. I'm going to have to wrap this up because it's soon going to be time for me to pick up kids from school. So I don't know what the future is going to hold. Obviously, I'm going to be job hunting now. And but I'm going to be home more. So maybe we'll be doing more mid-afternoon live streams as time allows, just seeing where it goes. But there's going to be me job hunting and interviewing and hopefully interviewing. So we'll see. But maybe we'll do more of these as I'm not going to work anymore. But thanks for joining me. Did I miss anything? Before I sign off, let me see. What did I miss? Hang on a second. Max Volume says, like the Abrams Star Trek films, because when I'm realizing what it was. Also like the second one because Benedict Cumberbatch was a badass Khan. See, the second was actually my least favorite. I don't like that one. And I don't like that Benedict Cumberbatch played Khan. I wish he'd actually been John Harrison, the character he said he was. He could have been one of Khan's guys without being Khan, and he still would have been a genetically altered Superman. He just wouldn't have been Khan. In fact, I think if they had kept him John Harrison, they could have shown one of the cryogenic stasis tubes and had like Ricardo Montalban in there. So it's like you see, oh, Khan's still sleeping in one of those chambers. Marty says, should use your figures to make stop motion video and have CS and Rick do the voices. Maybe. Joey Baseball says, did I see the Trek figures from Toy Fair? No, I just did a podcast on Toy Fair. I wasn't there. My old co-host Bob Trait was. Bob Trait from Action Figure Junkies. He did a podcast with me, and we didn't talk about the Star Trek figures. I'm going to do a Google search for them now because I do want to see them. Sav says, had to give up work, become a career parent. Unfortunately, we can't afford for that. I am going to have to find a job again. But, David Anderson says, what movie are you most looking forward to in 2019? Easy. Don't even have to think about it. Shazam. Shazam all day long. So excited for Shazam. Also excited for Endgame. Also excited for Star Wars Episode 9, Captain Marvel, it's Spider-Man. Excited for all of them, but my God, am I super excited for Shazam. Just can't wait. Spirit and the Phantom were big stinkers. Absolutely true. All right, guys, I am going to wrap it up now. Oh, Doublespeak just got here. And, hey, my friend Wes from Thinking Arts Entertainment has arrived. Well, I was actually just about to sign off, guys. I have to start getting ready to get kids. But thanks, everyone, for stopping by. I appreciate it. And we'll see what the future holds. Maybe next week, time permitting, we'll do more of these afternoon live streams. So, until next time, keep wearing those pajamas.